Going to start with our law education and experience talks now. So we have 5 Lex talks for you all. Megan Ma, Dr. Megan Ma, our Associate Director, has done some tremendous work here on the future of legal education. And she has done really interesting research, but also built tools in partnership with some of our industry partners. So excited to have Megan present some of her work here. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Megan Ma.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am really excited to share today because we are not releasing just one prototype today, but we are actually sharing 5. And so if we can actually throw up the slides. About a year ago, exactly, at the last FutureLaw, our team, thanks to our collaborators, Leonard and Conrad from Flatiron Law, we released the first ever M&A negotiation simulator. And when we released it, we really were just asking a very simple question, which is, how exactly do you train models on the implicit or experiential knowledge of a senior lawyer? And really what we were trying to figure out is, how can you get models to think beyond just the 4 corners of the contract or 4 corners of the legal document that we've seen historically? But what actually we discovered in the process was that there was a problem that was not only one that persisted for a while, but that with generative AI and the adoption of these technologies, that it had the potential of becoming exponentially larger. And that is, we have no real efficient method of actually training our attorneys, that the gap between law school into practice is actually one where you learn on the job. But the one tool that you typically have, volumes and volumes of that grunt work that you describe, you would take that away with generative AI. And then what do you have to actually teach your attorneys? And so through this year, we've moved from a single chatbot of figuring out how to develop a senior lawyer as your opposing counsel to riff off of into a state-of-the-art multi-agent system.
Hello, my name's Pierce. I'm on the team here, and I'll be demoing DealMentor. Let's go ahead and sign in. DealMentor is a M&A negotiation simulator that uses AI to help train young lawyers. So we're playing on junior associate mode, meaning we get lots of training wheels. We'll negotiate over corporate structure, and then we get some background on the buyer and the seller here. So we're representing the buyer. All right, let's start the simulation. We're talking to our client. So we can say something like, why are you looking to acquire tech ease? Okay, so for SaaS functionality, great. How are you looking to structure the deal? We prefer an asset purchase. That's great to know. Now we also have text-to-speech down here in the right-hand corner. So if we press that button, we can load in a spoken version.
We would prefer to structure the deal as an asset purchase.
And now I'm sure you've heard that voice before. So once we feel ready, we can go to the opposing counsel and start negotiating. So my client is interested in acquiring tech ease. Didn't mean to put a thing there. Are they prepared to take on liabilities? Well, listen, one of the training wheels we offer to junior associates is called BDI. So if we click on this blue icon here, we can go look behind the scenes at the opponent's desires. So it looks like they actually desire to push for a stock sale, and they intend to determine the structure here. So this can help me get a leg up. My client wants an asset sale. That's not going to work for us. All right, we're encountering some resistance, and it looks like they intend to push back for a stock sale. So let's go back to the client. Why an asset sale? Okay, so liabilities. Well, let's see. Has your client experienced any cyber breaches that I should be aware of? Now, here's the coolest part of this. So this switch up here turns on observer mode. And what observer mode does is gives us access to the multi-agent simulation behind the scenes so we can kind of listen in. It's another set of training wheels. So if we enable this, we get access to the opposing counsel's notes that they're taking, and we also get access to their background chats with their client as well as their tax specialist. So if we ask something like, how bad were the incidents and how many were there, the opposing counsel will actually go to their client and they will also take notes in real time. So if you look over here at the yellow pad on the right, the notes will come in real time. There were a few incidents. Again, we can look at the BDI, they want to downplay the severity, and then we can also look at their chat that they're having with their client, which loads in real time. Another feature I want to show in DealMentor is the set of admin features. So if you have admin access, again, this is enterprise software, you can actually customize the scenarios as well as the agents. So if we go to the opposing counsel agent here, we can customize the AI language model it uses, its personality, how it responds to things. We can customize its implicit knowledge about corporate structure, reps and warranties, etc. And then if you're a fan of Interstellar, you can also numerically adjust its personality sliders, which I find quite fun. So that's just the tip of the iceberg of DealMentor. There's so much more to show here.
So the idea here is that beyond just understanding how you can spar with opposing counsel, you learn additional skills of when you need to engage with a client and when you might need to engage with specialty counsel, for example. But beyond this, we looked at other different workflows. And here's just a picture, again, of Leonard and Conrad. We are so grateful that they continue to help us every single day. We thought about what was specific about the current legal tech industry and the focus on contract redlining. Many of our young associates, we talk about the idea that they're just trying to get through those red lines at 2, 3 a.m. They're clicking accept changes, but they don't actually necessarily know why. And so we started to explore what happens if you can create the persona of the partner that you are working for, and that you might be able to get a peek into how they have been thinking about those corrections and those edits that are made. And so we built Guideline.
We'll be showing Guideline, which gives AI feedback on your red lines in the persona of a specific lawyer. So here in Microsoft Word, we have a heavily redlined document. Now, I have brought this into Guideline in order to analyze under the persona of DJ, who is a senior tax lawyer. So if we go to, let's go to a heavily redlined paragraph like this one, we can see that we got positive feedback here on the red lines. If we want more detailed feedback, we can flip that switch and see the full comment. And we can also go through the different comments using the arrow keys. Here's an example of a change where we got negative feedback, and then we can also press this share button over here to create a shared link, open that in a new tab, paste it in, and view it, and this shared link will be valid for 24 hours. Thanks. Bye.
Beyond the workflow of redlining, we started to think about what the sort of litigation as well as the arbitration standpoint. And we were really thrilled to be able to collaborate with Hugh and Three Crowns to develop actually what we call ScriptView. The idea here is that we would be able to upload either a cross-examination transcript or a deposition transcript in the litigation side. You can toggle a switch of whether or not you want the litigation or the arbitration. And you can also, in the same way as Guideline, select a particular AI partner, one that you've been working with, and you can actually get their real-time feedback. It'll showcase strategies that you've done well, and then strategies that could have been done better and that you could work on in the next time around. We're trying to expand sort of additional features in this side, but take a look.
ScriptView, which is an AI tool that allows you to analyze both deposition and arbitration transcripts and get pointed feedback from the perspective of senior lawyers. So here we have this transcript of an arbitration. We will bring this into ScriptView. I've already went ahead and analyzed it, and I've done it in cross-examination mode, i.e. arbitration, under the persona of Hugh Carlson, who's a senior lawyer at 3 Crowns. So you can see we can scroll through this transcript, and we have these various highlighted parts. Now, if we click on one of these green highlighted parts, this means that there was a strategy that we applied well. We can see the excerpt on which we applied this strategy well, as well as the reasoning from Hugh as to why this was good. Now, we can also scroll through and look for these red highlighted excerpts, which are very similar. This is a strategy that we missed. We could have applied it here, and we did not, and there's some reasoning from Hugh around that as well. So we can scroll through this whole thing and see lots of red and green, which is just good and bad feedback. Now, if we want to run this under different personas or in different modes, we can go up to this switcher here. Law firm runs it under just a generic arbitration law firm, and then we can switch over to deposition mode, where it would expect a deposition transcript, and now you can see we have personas of different litigators to run this under. Thanks. Bye.
So how do you put this all together? Imagine if you had your entire law firm's AI persona, and you aggregated it into your firm's intelligence. What we're really trying to showcase here is that added subjective layer, all of that additional value add that you see from your own law firm. This is how it can be encased. But how do you actually then engage with a legal AI persona? Is it that every single time we are building specific workflows? How do we actually get additional insights, such as a cross-comparative perspective? For example, in the sort of analog space, you might have a transactions lawyer walk over to their litigation counterparts and ask whether or not this contract is truly as ironclad as they believe. Well, take a look at what we've done.
Hi folks, my name is Alex. I am the research lead behind legal personas. So far, you've seen personas applied to specific workflows, but the ultimate goal is a workflow agnostic platform. Say we ask this platform to review our red lines. The first stage is a planning stage. We ask every persona to come up with a detailed plan on how it wants to execute the task. By default, we use the knowledge team persona, which is a generalist, but let's say we have a specific persona in mind for this red line, DJ. You can see that DJ has rewritten the plan to suit his preferences. We've shown programmatically that personas can significantly influence the reasoning and planning of large language models. Let's say we want to pull in another persona specifically to analyze the red lines for litigation risks. DJ will then assign this persona to the relevant steps, and if we click on the persona, we'll be able to chat with them. If at any point we want to revert to a previous state, we can click this button and it'll show us the state of the plan. We can click on any of these boxes and it will revert back to that state. Let's say we're satisfied with the plan, and then we click the execute button. In a moment, you'll see the first initial review of red lines based on the plan that was given. In this case, DJ is trying to do a comprehensive document scan, top to bottom, and giving his initial feedback on each of these red lines. The output of the persona will include hyperlinks. Each of these hyperlinks pulls you to a specific experience outlined in the source material. Either that is a transcript or other related documentation. We then convert this experience into a more narrative fashion, hoping that users will be able to remember this experience more dynamically if it is fixed in this storytelling way. We've also built in functionality within the persona to understand its limitations. In this case, DJ thinks it would be beneficial to pull in another persona that has litigation experience in order to review this change. If we click on at Mark, we can see Mark's comments on this change as well.
Great. And so imagine if we were able to have now this AI law firm. What happens if we were to move from this sort of planification, the strategy building, and actually think about evaluating our strategies in our law firms? We might say that this is the best approach, this is a tried and true method, or these are the best sort of zingers that we have as a partner, but are they really kind of tested in a way that they are as foolproof or ironclad, or are they just very specific to one particular client? 2 years ago, there was a paper that went viral known as Generative Agents. Stanford researchers here, the lead author, June Park, I'm sure many of you have heard of this paper, he demonstrated that multiple models, by putting them together in a small town, it starts to exhibit some sociological behaviors. What was incredibly interesting was that the next year, about a year ago in May, Agent Hospital was released. And this paper actually tested that if you created personas of a very specific domain, whether you created some hospital staff, some doctors, and nurses, and you mapped out their interaction patterns, they could actually trace whether or not they could optimize, or they're well optimized for patient recovery. Is it that sort of the design thinkers that they had hired, or those consultants, they really did their job in showing that if you interacted in this particular way, you actually can minimize the time it takes when a patient enters and when a patient leaves? Well, this paper was incredibly inspiring to us, and so we wanted to explore it from the law firm perspective. Thanks to our collaborator, Steve, from Google. He shared with us a number of not only his perspective as in-house counsel, but also his own outside counsel that we got to work with. And here we thought about, can we actually test out the business strategy associated with patent filing? And so we did just that.
Hi everyone, my name is Megan Moe.
And my name is Ashley Junn.
And as researchers with the team, we're so excited to talk about the work we've led on the agent law firm multi-agent simulation as evaluation.
In the first phase of our project, we created a new method to evaluate patents based on how well they align with outside counsel guidelines. Using OpenAI's state-of-the-art large language models, we extract key criteria from these guidelines and score each patent section by section to determine overall compliance.
Our goal was to help companies understand if higher compliance leads to greater long-term business value. In the second phase of our project, we took it further by simulating how law firm agents collaborate to create optimal patents. Partnering with one of Google's boutique law firms, we trained agent models on real-world experiences shared by their senior associates and partners.
These agents followed the firm's workflow of which agents needed to interact together, but made their own decisions on what to do: drafting, reviewing, discussion, etc. The result was creating a simulated patent from scratch that will soon compare to the patent we received from the firm.
In terms of next steps, we will unlock even more insights by 1. Giving agents more autonomy to choose their collaborators, just like in the successful hospital simulations with agents, and 2. Studying how the number of interactions affects patent quality under these new conditions.
These projects show how leveraging technology like AI can help reduce and change the way we normally go about creating patents.
And so what we're trying to show here is that beyond kind of testing out existing interaction patterns that you find in a law firm, you can also actually turn the agents loose, which is what had happened in the agent hospital. And there were new interaction patterns that were identified that further improved patient recovery time. What we're interested in is if you turn agents loose in a law firm, does it actually improve how patent filings are done? Does it actually extend the long-term business value that you find? And this is just one of the many workflows that we're interested in exploring. With me here today, I just want to point out is the team. They are literally some of the most talented people I've ever worked with. And so I just want to give a round of applause to them. If you're interested in seeing any of the prototypes that we have demonstrated today, we're out there in the front. They are happy to show you some of the things that they've built, but thank you again.